Would you like to get picks against the spread for each of the 6 NFL games of the wildcard round? You have come to the right place. In case you don't know me yet, I'm Professor MJ, a former 15-year university statistics teacher turned into a full-time sports bettor and advisor. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. Later in this video, I will discuss my famous Lobster bet, the highest confidence play of the week. We have obtained a perfect 5-0 record with the Lobster bet since I introduced this concept in week 14. Alright, let's start with the Chargers vs Texans game. Some bookies view Los Angeles as a 2.5 point favorite, while others have a line sitting at 3.0. My final call here is to go with the Chargers minus 2.5 points at NRG Stadium on Saturday. My only concern about this bet is as follows. The Chargers will be on the road for the 3rd straight week, which is not an easy spot to be in. Still, I like them to beat the spread, so let me present my arguments supporting this pick. Since week 9, Houston has been heading in the wrong direction, as shown by their disappointing 4-5 record. Meanwhile, the Chargers picked up an 8-3 record to end the regular season. Their only 3 losses occurred against the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Bucs, so nothing to be ashamed of. If you focus on each team's point differential, the difference is massive. Indeed, LA finished at plus 101, while the Texans ended with 0 after scoring and allowing exactly 372 points. Houston faced teams with a winning record on 6 occasions. In those contests, they posted a 1-5 record, while CJ Stroud tossed 5 TD passes versus 8 interceptions. Let's talk about QB pressure for a minute. The Chargers racked up the 6th most sacks in the league this year, while the Texans gave up the 3rd most. In short, it does not bode well for Stroud in this matchup. On the other side, some may argue that Houston was great at pressuring opposing QBs. That is true, especially with their great duo of Will Anderson and Daniel Hunter. However, the Chargers will counter with one of the best tackle duo in the league with Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. Following injuries to Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward, the Texans are left with Miles Bryant as their starting nickel. Can he cover a slick wide receiver like Ladd McConkey? I don't think so. The rookie wideout could have a big game here. It is also worth noting that Houston finished 31st in terms of early down success, only behind the dismal Browns offense. To me, poor offensive line play and injuries to Stefon Diggs and Tank Dell will cost the Texans dearly against a Chargers defense that gave up the fewest points in the NFL this year. For these reasons, give me the Chargers laying 2.5 points on the road in Houston. Up next, we have a great AFC North battle between the Steelers and the Ravens. Everyone is counting the Steelers out after their dreadful finish to the regular season, but I'll go against the grain by picking them to cover the large 10-point spread. I know Pittsburgh has not looked good recently via a 4-game losing skid. Still, they are very familiar with Lamar Jackson, which will help keeping it close. Remember how Lamar has not looked the same in the playoffs so far in his career. In 6 starts, he has obtained a 2-4 record while putting an average of just 16 points on the board. Another big key to me will be to monitor the status of wide receiver Zay Flowers. He sprained his knee last week and he seems on the wrong side of questionable. However, he has not been ruled out yet. If he misses the game, I'll be much more excited about this bet. Of course, there are many sources of concern surrounding this wager. Russell Wilson averaged 271 passing yards during the course of his first 6 starts, while dropping to a 171 average across his final 5 games. That's a huge difference. He needs to do better than this Saturday night. Still, ultimately, I believe the Steelers will do enough to cover the spread. I could see Baltimore winning this game by a 27-20 score. The early Sunday game features the Denver Broncos traveling to Orchard Park against the Bills. I've decided to go with Buffalo minus 8.5 points because I found a lot of arguments backing the pick, but my gut feeling is not so confident. The main reason is I am quite worried about Buffalo's defense that could let the Broncos score many points, making it hard to beat the large spread. Denver posted a stellar 6-2 record at home, but they did not look the same on the road via their 4-5 record. Meanwhile, the Bills presented a perfect 8-0 record at Highmark Stadium in 2024. Buffalo has won 10 of its past 12 games. One of those losses was their backups losing in New England, so it does not even count as a true defeat, right? The other one was a 44-42 shootout against the Rams. The Broncos like to play man coverage in defense, which is music to Josh Allen's ears because he has torched man coverage this year. Speaking of Denver, they went 8-0 when facing teams with a losing record. But did you know that they went 1-7 against teams that finished with a winning record? Please note that I have excluded their win last week over the Chiefs since KC rested all of their key starters. Experience might play a key role in this game as well, which favors Buffalo in a big way. Josh Allen will be making his 12th playoff start, while Bo Nix is a rookie QB. Over the past 10 years, rookie signal callers have gotten a 3-10 record in the playoffs. 2 of those wins were obtained by Brock Purdy, who was surrounded by an elite supporting cast, which is not the case for Nix. Before destroying the Chiefs' backups, Bo Nix was not doing all that well. In weeks 13 to 17, he got 9 TD passes versus 6 interceptions. However, Buffalo's pass defense ranked 30th in the NFL since week 9 in EPA per pass allowed. So again, if forced to bet, I would go with Buffalo minus 8.5, but that may be the pick I am the least confident in. I have many factors backing the Bills, but I'm very concerned about their defense. Let's move on to the great matchup between the Packers and the Eagles. My pick against the spread here is Philly minus 4 points, but I am waiting to hear about the final status of Jalen Hurts. At the moment, he is still in the concussion protocol, which is concerning. If he misses the game, I may still back the Eagles, but the line would be smaller, perhaps minus 2.5 or minus 3. So I prefer to wait and see how it goes for now. Jordan Love has had some ups and downs this year. His receivers have also been a bit inconsistent, and now he lost Christian Watson, who led the team with a 21.4 yard average per catch. That's going to sting the Packers. The Eagles have much more reliable targets, with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and tight end Dallas Goedert. In the backfield, Josh Jacobs is very solid, but you cannot beat Saquon Barkley, who almost broke the all-time rushing yard record. On defense, the Eagles were spectacular as well. They allowed the second fewest points per game while finishing in first place in terms of total yards allowed. Philadelphia was almost unbeatable at home. They finished the year with an 8-1 record. I also like the fact that the Eagles rested their starters last week, while Green Bay opted to fight for playoff seeding, which backfired following the injury to Watson. Even Jordan Love got hurt, but the news are better in his case since he should suit up for the game. I would still remain cautious with this bet. Green Bay's 6 losses came by a margin of 5, 2, 10, 3, 2, and 2 points. So, as you can see, they have not lost by 4 points or more very often. Still, my plan is to bet the Eagles, but I'm awaiting the final playing status of Jalen Hurts, so that I can get a lower spread in case he is ruled out. The Sunday night game may turn into a shootout, since the Commanders are traveling to Tampa Bay to square off against the Bucs. I told you earlier about the historical struggles of rookie QBs making their first postseason start, so I'll stay consistent by taking Tampa minus 3 points. The 3 worst rushing defenses in the NFL were Carolina, New Orleans, and Washington. The Bucs faced these squads on 5 occasions, and they won them all by a margin of 17 points. In other words, if Tampa does not have any trouble running the ball, they will crush you. I also like the fact that the Bucs will be at home for the 3rd straight week. Both defenses are vulnerable. Tampa's unit improved as the season progressed. They allowed an average of 27 points per game in the first half of the year, before giving up just 18 points per game in the second half. That being said, I am concerned about the health of Tampa's defense. They are quite banged up in the secondary. Jordan Whitehead is out after a car accident, while Jamel Dean, Mike Edwards, and Antoine Winfield Jr. are all listed as questionable. Speaking of injuries, I am curious to see if Marshawn Lattimore will be on the field for Washington. He has had a lot of success in his career covering Mike Evans. Both clubs enter the playoffs on a high note. The Commanders are currently riding a 5-game winning streak, although the last 4 were super tight. On the other side, the Bucs have won 6 of their last 7 contests. It should be a very entertaining game, and from a betting perspective, I'll go with Tampa minus 3. The final game of the wildcard round features the Vikings and the Rams, with Minnesota being a slight favorite. The biggest question surrounding this game is whether Sam Darnold will rebound following an abysmal performance in Detroit last week. My personal answer to this question is that he will obviously do better, but it won't be enough to avoid the upset. So, as you can guess, I am betting the Rams plus 1 point. Prior to last week, Darnold had never played such a big critical game. The number 1 seed was in play, and he fell flat on his face by completing just 18 of his 41 passes against a very depleted Detroit defense. It was awful to watch as he missed several open receivers. The rest factor also gives LA a huge edge. First, they rested their starters last week while the Vikings fought hard in Detroit. Not only that, but the Rams will be at home for the 3rd consecutive week, while the Vikings will be on the road for the 3rd time in a 4-week span. Minnesota loves to blitz opposing QBs, but that may not work so well this weekend, because Matthew Stafford thrived under those conditions this year. Indeed, he ranked 4th in EPA per drop back against the blitz. Also, his offensive line is the healthiest it's been all year long. There is another bet that caught my attention in this game. I also like over 47.5 points to hit. That's a quick bonus bet for you. Since 2003, the over has gone 35-18 in playoff games played indoors. The icing on the cake is the fact that referee John Hussey will be officiating this game, and he had a NFL best 11-4 record to the over this season. On average, 50.6 points were scored in games involving Hussey. Stick around because I will discuss the lucrative Lobster bet in 30 seconds. First, I just wanted to recap the picks unveiled in this video. The Chargers minus 2.5 in Houston. the Steelers plus 10 in Baltimore, the Bills minus 8.5 against Denver, Philadelphia minus 4 over Green Bay if Hurts is playing, the Bucs minus 3 versus Washington, the Los Angeles Rams plus 1 point against the Vikings, and finally the bonus bet over 47.5 points in the Vikings-Rams matchup. Back in week 14, I started to introduce the Lobster bet. This is basically the bet that I like the most each week. We destroyed the bookies with our Lobster bets since we posted a perfect 5-0 record, including 4 easy winners. If you want to invest in your sports betting success, then as always, you have 2 options. You can either go with a package that includes a money-back guarantee if the pick loses, or you can go for a package at a reduced price without the corresponding guarantee. It's up to you to choose which option suits you best. I released the Lobster bet for the wildcard round last Monday night. I promoted it to prior buyers and also in my Facebook group. Right now, we have a 50-50 split among people taking the package with or without the guarantee. For your information, this week's Lobster bet concerns the first quarter total of a specific game. Simply follow the links below to gain exclusive access to this high confidence play. I also have a second proposition for you. The best way to attack sportsbooks in the NFL is via their player proposition bets. I will share at least 10 prop bets for the wildcard round at mjpicks.com. Simply go there and sign up for the weekly plan and choose one sport, being American football, for just $21. Another great investment opportunity for you. I'm Professor MJ, holder of a Ph.D. in statistics and bookie crusher since 1999. Let's earn big profit together this weekend.